Hi guys, it's Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and I am over the moon with this knife. This is the P138, color code is W, so the P138-W by Ruike Knives. I thought this was going to be a good knife when I got it, and unfortunately I lost my unboxing video. I got 4 Ruike knives. You'll be seeing the videos as I show them. This is the first one, and I'm usually not all that into Tantos. Yeah, Tantos are cool, Tantos are okay, but I'm not just a big-time Tanto guy. When I saw this knife at the Ruike Canada, ruikeknives.ca website, I just knew I wanted it. And so I ordered it, and here it is. This thing's got roller bearings. Not just ball bearings, roller bearings. If you are interested at all in a very cool knife, stick around for the full review. So Ruike Canada did give me a small discount for this knife, and thank you for that, guys. And if you buy from Ruike Canada, spend $100, they give you free shipping. So buy 2 knives instead of 1, because they've got almost nothing that's under $100, and you need to spend $100 to get your free shipping. Or is it $99? Whatever it is. I can't believe the price of these knives. It is way too low for what you get. I hope Ruike Canada isn't listening to that, because they might up their prices if they hear that. But, you know, buy these things now before they up their prices, because it is phenomenally good. We've got Sandvik. It says right there, really tiny letters, and I like that. 14C28N. The steel is important to designate on your knife, but I hate it when they blast it in big letters all over their knives. That's really good. We've got model number, and we've got serial number right there on the blade. I'd actually prefer if the serial number was put in on the liner, just on the inside, so you could read it using a flashlight or something, instead of putting it right on the blade. And on this side, you've got the Ruike name. Yes, Ruike is the way to pronounce it, guys. Most of the reviewers are getting it right. This is the P138-W. You can also get it in black. The steel I was talking about, the 14C28N Sandvik steel, they finish it to a Rockwell hardness of between 59 and 60. We've got a knife that has a huge back opening and a small back spacer, and then a really cool lanyard spot. It's not really a lanyard hole, but they've got a pillar right there. It's got a nice hourglass shape, and then the liner, the back spacer is hollowed out so you can put your paracord through there for a nice lanyard. We've got a pocket clip that can't be moved, right side tip up only, and functional, very functional. It works very well and very deep, not ultra deep, but a very deep carry. And the pocket clip, you know, it's got a really good tension to it and it holds on well. We've got nested liners. The liners are skeletonized. I've got pictures of that. We've got high quality screws. That makes a huge difference. Usually a knife that is less than $100, they've got, you know, fairly low quality hardware. Not Ruike. They've got some really good hardware in here. I like that an awful lot. They've got this lock here so that you can flip the switch up on the lock and you can't disengage the liner lock. When you leave it back, now you can disengage the blade. I don't really care for this kind of locking system to stop me from unlocking the liner lock. I just leave it unlocked all the time. Thankfully, it's very unobtrusive. It's not in your face. It's not ugly. So if you're going to put a lock like this on, other manufacturers, you know, do it the way Ruike did it. Make it nice and small and inconspicuous. Better yet, just leave them off completely. The liner lock is, perfect. It locks up in a very good position. I'll show you a close-up picture of that. Very fine little jimping on there. So it makes it really easy to, you know, actuate that liner lock to unlock it. Very easily done, and that's a really good thing. You can operate this knife left-handed just as well as right-handed. Well, not just as well, but you can operate this knife left-handed very well. The roller bearings there roll so easily. It's super easy to close this knife. The detent is excellent. The detent isn't super loud when it closes, but once it's closed, it takes a fair bit of pressure to get it to start to come out again. It's a very good amount of pressure. I like the way the detent is made, is what I'm trying to get at. We've got grind lines. You can see these satin finish, the grind lines on there. My fingers are very greasy all the time, so the fingerprints show up right away. But the grind lines are really good. I like this Tanto, this sort of clip point Tanto, if you will. And then you've got a sort of bevel here, and you have to have this bevel here, and flat grind, so sort of saber grind, which most Tantos are. And the finish here on the edge is very sharp. The flipper arm doesn't have any jimping on it or anything. It doesn't need it. It's a very well designed flipper arm. It just takes a little bit of pressure, and the blade deploys very, very easily. You can use the light switch method, or you can do the pressure method where you push straight down. Either one of them work, and they work just fine. I should show you a close-up of those roller bearings. I took the knife apart. Don't take your knife apart. Okay, don't take your rake knife apart. I believe it voids the warranty if you take your knife apart. I love the G10 here. It's very good grip, really good purchase on this knife. When you've got it in your hand, you've got it in your hand, and it's not going to move on you. And then they've got this complex kind of different levels in this G10, and it's got the surface texture all over everywhere. Really, really nice. I like that a lot. Let's talk about the dimensions of all the different things on this knife, specifically the blade. Cutting edge, and so I measured from right here by the sharpness choil to the tip of the blade, just diagonally across there, 9.22 centimeters, 3.63 inches. The length of the blade is actually less than that because, the G10 here on the handle comes out. And so from that tip to the tip of the blade is 8.89 centimeters, 3.5 inches. So this is a 3.63 inch blade here. Really, really functional knife. The blade thickness is 3.5 millimeters, 0.138 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind is an important factor that most people don't even consider, especially reviewers. I don't know why. You want to know how thick the blade is just behind that final grind, because if it's super thick, that means it's going to be hard to cut. It's always going to be a problem. No matter, you sharpen it 10 times, it's still going to be a problem. In fact, it'll just keep getting worse. If you've got a hollow grind and it's too thin, well, then the edge of the blade's just going to bend and fold and roll over and chip and stuff. It's an important factor. On this knife, with this flat grind here, the saber grind, we've got 0.7 millimeters. And that's just slightly thicker than I'd like it to be. I'd like it to be between 0.5 and 0.6. In imperial measurements or standard measurements, that's 0.0275 inches. The handle length, 13.1 centimeters. That's 5.18 inches. The grip area back here is 9.53 centimeters, 3 3/4 inches. The handle thickness right here at the thickest point, 1.55 centimeters, 0.61 inches. So, you're looking at over half of an inch, 60% of an inch here. Some people are going to call that too thick, but with these different steps, that's just one spot that's thick. The other spots are thinner. And so your hand just wraps around it very, very well. My hand is a large hand, right on the borderline between large and extra large. A larger hand than mine is going to find this okay because you've got room for some more hand right there. So most guys with extra large hands are going to find this knife very, very comfortable. Large hands, you're going to like it. And I think even most guys with medium hands are going to like this knife because there's just times you want a big, beefy knife. The total length of the knife, 22 centimeters, 8.68 inches. It weighs 159 grams, which is 5.6 ounces. So they've done the skeletonizing, they've done the nested liners and everything. And, well, they still made it a little bit over 5 ounces. I wish they could take off that 0.6 of an ounce and make it 5 ounces or less, but it is what it is. So that's a very minor nitpicky negative, is the weight is just slightly higher than I'd like it to be. The fit and finish on this knife is astoundingly good. It's a really, really nice knife. Retailing at $68.95 Canadian. That's right around $55 US. So I usually talk about knives in US dollars. So for a $55 knife, the fit and finish on this is phenomenally, it's just really, really good. I like it an awful lot. If I was really nitpicking, the only thing that I don't like is the final grind doesn't quite match up at the tip. And I'll show you a close-up picture of that. This side is ground over a little bit deeper. This side is ground over just a little bit deeper than this side. Totally has nothing to do with the function of the knife. And if you're just looking at one side at a time and you're even flipping it back and forth, you're not even going to notice this until you take out your microscope and you take your microscopic pictures, which is what I did, and that's when I noticed it. Honestly, I didn't know it until then. So I'm really being nitpicky, and so that's nothing to be concerned about at all. I like the basic design of this knife. It's very, it's edgy, it's sharp, because all these different, angles and geometric lines here. Sharp looking is what I mean. Of course, it's sharp on the edge to cut things. Fit and finish is really good. I mentioned that already. I keep talking about the roller bearings. The roller bearings are awesome. They are perfectly smooth and very, very functional. It's just great. So many tiny touches on this thing that I really like. That jimping on the liner lock right there, I really like that. This touch back here with the lanyard spot. I don't really use lanyards, and so I don't like a lanyard hole that much, to be honest with you. And this method here of the way they made it, not only is another screw here to give it strength, but it looks really good. This back spacer here, this is the only spot where you can see the liners exposed. That looks good. So you get to see a little bit of steel back here. Zell from Zellrick, his channel, he had a talk about screws recently on his channel, and about how, screws are really being screwed up, especially in the lower budget markets. Really, really good screws on this knife. If I didn't show you a close-up picture earlier in the video, or maybe I'll show it again, these screws are very good. They're nice and hard. The hole that your screwdriver sits into, the Torx hole there, is just the right depth. It's broached, it's bottomed out perfectly. So it's really easy to undo these screws if you needed to. Again, I'm not recommending that you do. You want to keep your warranty good on this knife. So what do I like and not like about this knife? I like everything, and there's nothing I really don't like. Feels good in hand. Functions really well. You want to see it cut, don't you? You've been waiting to see this thing cut. All right. I'll shut up and I'll start cutting things with it. Here I've got some banding that I use to show cutting. This is 1 inch wide. It's quite thick. The only reason it didn't go all the way through is because it's fabric and it folds away while I try to cut through it. Very, very sharp. Let me get a hard surface to cut on. You see that? It's just a sharp knife. You can cut with a tip. You can cut with this transition spot. And of course, you can cut with that flat area. Let's get some paper and show you how well it cuts paper. Just regular copy paper. You can hear how smooth it is. And that's a push cut where I'm just cutting at one spot. Sliding cut is a whole lot easier to do where I'm sliding along the edge. But that push cut showed you just how well this knife cuts. And the tip cuts as well. No problem there. That leading edge, really, really sharp. I've been a fan of rake knives ever since I got my first rake knife, which was just very recently. And I don't know. I think I'm becoming more than just a fan. I think I'm becoming almost a fanboy where I'm just fanatical about it. But I'm not stupid fanatical in the sense of, I'm going to praise it just because I'm going to praise it because I'm going to praise it. I'm trying to be as super objective as I can. And it's just really hard to find negatives about this knife. If this knife was $200 US, I would be a little more upset. I would say that they shouldn't be doing this on that tip of the blade right there. But this is $55, guys, 55 US. A very, very worthy knife in the budget market. If you're looking for a new knife and you're budget minded, you want to get something, under $100. Well, this is way under $100. Even in Canadian dollars, this is way under 100 at, $68.95 Canadian. Get yourself a rake knife. Check out their website. They've got like 10, 12, 15 knives or so. And then they've got a whole bunch of pocket knives, with the multi-blades on it, the Victorinox style, that kind of thing. They got a bunch of those. And they've got a couple fixed blades as well. Rake knives. Rake Canada sold these to me at a discount. Thank you so much again, guys. Remember to like the video, share it with somebody, comment, and subscribe. And always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.